So, welcome to the Flipping and Wholesaling Houses in New York show. I am Michael Pinter, where I teach you how to start flipping and wholesaling houses in New York, or if you're already doing it, how to grow your business. Now, I want to talk about what a short sale is, what you should be doing with it, what you can do with it, should you get involved with them, how much involvement should you have with them. So, okay, a couple things. And I want to, I sometimes am guilty of assuming that people that are listening know certain things that they don't. And I apologize, and I'm trying to get better at that. Because I remember that I went to a RIA, that's a Real Estate Investors Association, REIA. I went to a RIA meeting about 8 years ago, and there was a speaker who was talking about short sales, and I was stuck in a long table where dinner was served that I couldn't eat because it wasn't kosher. And guy spoke for an hour and a half on short sales. I didn't even know what a short sale was. So, by the way, I have a RIA, Nassau County RIA, if you're interested, but that's not important. So let me talk about what a short sale is, what happens, how the process works, and should you get involved in it, and what should you do. So number one, a short sale is when a lender is willing to accept less than what they're owed when a borrower sells a property. Right, now it's different than a short payoff. I recently had a couple of short payoff situations. Short payoff is amazing. It's very rare. That means the lender says, well, you owe us 300, we'll take 200, and there's no restrictions. That's situations where you can pay off the loan, you can sell it back to the owner. Like, there's a lot of different things you can do. Short sale is very regulated, and you need to follow the terms, and they only want to take a reduction. They'll take less than they're owed if the property is sold to another party, right? Not the owner's sister or that kind of thing. It's got to go to somebody new. So the process is you're going to come up with a number that it's the usual process that a seller is going to contact you and say, I owe for $500,000. Can you buy it from me? I know it's probably worth less. And you say, yeah, I'll try and go to the lender, and here's a contract for $300,000. And then a whole process starts where you are going to negotiate with the servicer. So let's talk about what a servicer. A servicer is the company that services a loan. They take the payments on the loan. It's not always the same as the company that made the loan, right? So you could take a loan with Chase, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, any of the big banks, and it might get serviced by another company. So the servicer is who you have to apply to say, hey, we want a short sale. Now, what that starts is a lengthy, pain-in-the-ass process of document submittal. They're going to give you a whole thing to fill out, and they are going to ask you to submit a lot of documentation. And sometimes you end up in this crazy cycle where you give them documentation, they don't look at it for 6 days, and they say, hey, this stuff expires, send us more documentation. That can happen. Now, I don't recommend you or the borrower or seller do this, because it will make you want to blow your own brains out. So there are people who say they do short sales. I call them short sale negotiators, right? Negotiating with the lender is, in my opinion, literally a full-time job. So there are plenty of people out there who say, hey, I do these things. And some of them are good. Most of them are terrible. So let me explain what makes a good short sale negotiator. And it's not so easy to figure it out. But there's two things. There's product knowledge. So there's people who have been doing this a long time who know most of the servicers. And they know, even before you start, hey, we'll start the process, so just to go more into the process, after you submit that documentation, then they're going to send out either an appraiser or a broker to give a BPO, a broker price opinion, or an appraisal on the property. Some lenders are flexible, so they might come out, you might want to buy it for $300, they may come in for $400, and then you're able to submit a contractor scope of work or an engineer's report that says, hey, there's a lot of problems with this house, you were only on the outside, it's really bad inside, and they'll negotiate with you. Some won't. A good short sale negotiator should know that and say, hey, this is a servicer I've used before, or be honest with you and say, I've never gone to the servicer before, but they're never going to go below the BPO price. So if the BPO comes in for $500, there's no point even talking to them. Or they may say, hey, this is a servicer I know I can work with. So that product knowledge can save you a lot of time and heartache. Obviously, actually dealing with the servicer is the most important part. The second part of being a good short sale negotiator is being communicative. So very often I'm going to send my short sale negotiator a new seller who we want to see if this can work at the price that I want to buy it. And good short sale negotiators will contact them right away, get on top of that, and move on with that. Bad ones won't, and bad ones won't contact you. Now, the truth is, it's a very lengthy process. Some servicers take forever, months and months and months. So they're not going to call you every day and say, hey, nothing's going on. But you want to know when something's happening. So you need both of those. I've dealt with short sale negotiators that were good communicators but didn't know what the hell they were doing, and I've dealt with people who really knew what they're doing but they never communicated with you or they didn't contact the seller. That's not good either. You need both. But really, it is another job. I highly recommend you don't do it. Could you? So you'll tell me I did it once, it wasn't so bad. Maybe, but there's 100 different servicers out there, maybe more, and they're all different and they're all pains in the ass. They don't remember. You're asking lender to take a loss here. They're not going to make it easy for you. People talk about, I remember in 2008 we could take short sales in 5 minutes. Yeah, in those days lenders were just looking to move assets off their books because everything was overvalued. Those days are over. So maybe they'll come back one day. I don't know. But right now, short sales take a long time. So the point is that if the lender agrees to take your contract and buy the property and sell the property to you at that price, the question is then, what do you do with it, right? Now, there was a long period of time, right, where there was a lot of shadiness going on. And what a lot of these short sale negotiators are doing, we're giving back money to the seller under the table. And that is completely illegal, right? People have literally gone to prison for that. So you can't do that, right? And I get calls from sellers all the time. Well, what's in it for me? What are you giving me? Right? And I say, I'll give you whatever the lender agrees to give you, whatever's on the HUD. Remember, everything on that HUD, that closing statement, is coming out of the lender's pocket. All the closing costs. So very often they'll give some relocation money. Sometimes they'll give money for cash for keys. And you want to go short sale negotiator that knows how to play the lender as best they can to get as much money for the seller, right? You'd like to give them money, but you cannot give them out of your pocket. It has to be completely above board to something that the lender agrees to, right? So it's important to not get into that shady side of the business. Now, I am not a attorney, and I am not an accountant. I'm not giving advice, legal or accounting advice. I'm just telling you how things work. I mean, probably more so in New York. So what happens after they agree is you then can go to closing, right? You get title, you can go to closing. You have to give them very detailed closing costs. They don't want it changing. They don't want any last minute changes. But the question that comes up a lot is, can you wholesale it, right? And here is the answer. Most of the documents you're going to sign are going to say that you can't sell it, right? But some servicers in certain situations will allow you to buy it in an LLC. So you create a new LLC for it. And then what I've heard happened sometimes is that the interest in the LLC are sold. That's not the same as selling the property, right? The same LLC is buying the property. The only difference is that you're selling the interest in the LLC. That is one way it can be done. Now, you have to really abide by whatever is in those docs. Otherwise, you are committing bank fraud. As I said, people have gone to prison for it. So be very careful as to what you do. And I would say ask your local attorney, but I find most attorneys are going to tell you not to do anything in every situation. So that's really how a short sale works. Now, the problem with a short sale is, now it's hard enough just buying a property from a seller, right? Trying to get a seller to agree. So I'm getting these messages on a chat room for some software I'm trying to figure out. So here you're dealing with where the seller is agreeing, but now you have to deal with a lender, and it could take a long time. So I look at short sales every single time as, hey, this is never going to work out. If it works out, it's a bonus. Because most of them don't work out. Because most of the time the lender doesn't agree to sell it at a discount. That's just the truth. I'll deal with it later. So it's important to understand, I don't like short sales. I hate them. I understand they're a part of the business. You can make a lot of money with them, but you have to deal with a lot of them because a lot of them are not going to work out. And you're dealing with a faceless lender who does not have the same interest as you, right? Seller, if you're engaged in a transaction, really has the same interest as you. They want to sell. Now, do they want to sell for more? Yes, but once you agree on a price, they want to sell it and you want to buy it. Lender really doesn't want to sell it to you, right? They usually think, well, we can do better. We have other options. But I don't want to lose this money. And they're very, very inflexible. So I don't like short sales at all. I hate them. And I still do them. But it's important to understand they're much lower percentage actually close. Much fewer of them close. And because very often the lender won't agree to sell it to you, and it's a long time, right? Something the seller could take months and months and months. I recently had a situation where the seller had approved the short sale, and then I came in to the picture, and then they brought another BPO and asked me for $200,000 more. So these are the kinds of things that happen a lot. You got to be careful. People say it's an approved short sale. It's only approved for a certain buyer. So unless you're buying that LLC, if you weren't involved in the transaction, it's not approved for you. So be very wary of short sales. Work with a short sale negotiator who's good. If you need help or any advice, I have somebody I recommend. And that's the basic gist of short sales and how they work. So if I hope this was helpful. If you're interested in all the ways I can help you, go to howtoflipnewyork.com. If you're interested in finding out more about one-on-one coaching I offer, go to coaching.howtoflipnewyork.com. What else? If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe. If you're watching on any media channel, please click the thumbs up. The likes really help my SEO, my search engine optimization. More people have seen my videos yet lately, so thank you. And I post 5 times a week, so please keep the comments coming. You can ask any question. It does not have to be about the video you're watching. Try to get back to everybody within a day or two. If it's something simple, I'll just reply with an answer. If it's something that I've covered before, I'll send you links to videos on it. And if it's something new, I'll do a new video on it. Or something I haven't covered in a while, I'll do a new video on it. Because I did a video on this a long time ago. Thank you very, very much for watching.